Ms. Call, Ms. Rotten. Call to order the November 18th, 2019 Transportation Committee meeting. Let's see, all members are present except for Councilman Johnson, and we will have, Councilman Lambert will lead us in the invocation.
Please rise. Dear Lord, give us the strength, wisdom to move our transportation forward in the parish. Lord, we ask that you please look over and pray for the Burke family, for Mr. Hart's family. He's going through some rough times now. We ask all these things in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. If anybody would like to comment on an item, please fill out a card and give it to Darla. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, or less, if you like. Moving on to item number 4, Committee Chairman's Report. I have nothing to add to the report that we won't get to later on. And item number 5, acceptance of the minutes of the October 7th, 2019 meeting as written.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. No objection, so moved. Item number 6, Department Report. Department of Transportation. Tacey Rabelais, thank you.
Good evening. As you see, we're just a quick update on the 2019 overlay program. They have pretty much finished all their work except for Bordeaux and Royal Palms. Bordeaux was a complete reconstruction, including curb, so it required quite a bit of time. And Royal Palms, it'll be done immediately after that. And then their second task was issued, and they're scheduled to start that as soon as they finish everything on task 1. So you can see what we've included on task 2. We had included Bayou Trace, but we ended up removing it due to a clerical error. So you can see the totals what we've been able to do with the money that we have. I think we've gotten quite a bit accomplished. So if y'all want to take a look at that and let me know if you have any questions. The 2019 Pavement Preservation Project, they're working on task 1. I know that they have completed Pelican Crossing with the texture seal. They've completed Oaks on the Bluff with the texture seal, and they've also treated quite a few of our new roads with the rejuvenator. You can't see the rejuvenator, but it's there, and it'll add, a good 5 to 10 years of life to our road. So even though you can't see it, it's there, starting to work. It looks like my attachment that shows everywhere we're doing, it didn't print out right, so I apologize. I can send y'all that tomorrow if that's okay. Yeah. You want to do yours right now?
Yeah. Can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
you can ask a question. Councilman Dawson.
Did you say what the rejuvenator is going to be done on Courtyard Drive?
Let's see.
Most of that's a private street. Concrete is there.
Is there a portion that's in front of the gate? That
Right
might,
at the gate? That's
yeah,
the
I
only
think that
part,
must be
yeah.
what they're talking about.
Okay.
They didn't go beyond, they have our
Okay.
road list, and they didn't go beyond
Okay.
where it's public. So that must be,
That's just like around the gate, maybe from around the gate up to the, where the private roads start.
right.
Okay.
I'll double check, but I'm sure, I'm pretty confident that's what it is.
Any other questions for Tacey at this time?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. On Bordeaux, what do we have in Tate? Is that because it's curb and gutter you having?
Yes, sir. The entire road, the curb was falling, it was dipping. Essentially, we had to go from back of curb to back of curb and rebuild everything. There were, I think, 3 major water leaks, and it was keeping the base saturated. So we had huge failures throughout. So it's taken a little while for them to replace the curb, but they'll be working on the base Wednesday. They're wanting to start if the weather permits them. So hopefully they'll be able to get in, rebuild the base, and get out within a couple of weeks.
You had anything else on your report?
I just that the DOTD projects that are highlighted in the back, and then the payment management update.
I was gonna, Keystone at, Timberstone and Pebblestone, did you look at the four-way?
Yeah, I requested some counts. I'm gonna have to see if we got those. I did go out and look at it, but I'll double check with our traffic counter to make sure we got the counts. I'll look at it and let you know something.
Thank you so much. I know we'll move into the next phase of that if it meets it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a look at it.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more?
Yes, you may.
I'll go back, Tracy, to the Royal Palms, and can you tell me, is that gonna go down to the subsurface there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. The curb in there is actually in decent condition. It doesn't look like we'll have to do too much of that, but they're gonna be they're gonna rebuild that front part until we hit, I'm sure you can see where the asphalt changes colors and
Right,
it goes
right.
from bad road to a good road. So they're rebuilding all that up in the front and repairing any curb failures, anything like that. But they're rebuilding it from base up.
That's the one I think has the floor light. Is that
Yes,
what
sir.
you're prepared for?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then when our drainage group finishes that crossing on Pelican Point Parkway,
Right. You're gonna tie
whatever
those-
they don't catch with their repair, we're going to go back and repair it after all the work is done. So I have Pelican Point
So you're gonna
Parkway.
connect those two repairs up, the one on Pelican Point Parkway
Correct.
up to Royal Palms, up to where they come together?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
perfect.
We just didn't want to rebuild the road and have all the heavy equipment
Yeah, okay.
track it and possibly damage it.
Okay, thanks.
Let me ask one more question while you're up here. On some of these roads, like Laurel Ridge Road and the Palms Road and Bordeaux, all those, at what time period should we go back and do the rejuvenation? Because I hate to be doing this road work, and the next step is that. Is there a certain time period?
As soon as possible. The sooner you get to it, it freezes the condition as it is for 5 to 7 years. So you can treat it, it stays like new. Then when you can see it to where it's maybe getting a little porous, you can go back and then treat it with a texture seal and add another 7 to 10 years to the road. So you're essentially extending the life of the road by almost 20 years, if you treat it right. So
So do we need to add more to our budget for the pavement preservation to get to that? Because that's the type of thing I'd like to make sure that we do. If we're going to repair these roads, let's then immediately start taking care of them so we don't have a problem in the future.
I agree. So what we're doing now, as soon as we finish construction, I'm giving it to the contractor for them to go and do the biorejuvenator because it doesn't have any weather limits. The texture seal has to be 55 and rising in order to apply it. So this weather's been messing them up, but the rejuvenator can be put down anytime as long as it's not raining. But I'll get, like when Bordeaux is done, I'll give that to them to go and treat, and it's very, inexpensive to do.
If I remember, it was like $1,500 per mile.
Yeah, it is extremely inexpensive. So that is something we're planning on doing. I would like to, maybe increase the budget at the end of the year if we can, but, obviously it's up to y'all. But yeah, we could do tons of roads if we had a little bit more money. I think it's in next year's budget, but I don't know when we'll be able to start that.
Okay, maybe we'll get together on that and make sure we have a
Absolutely.
plan for any new roads that we have coming in or newly repaired roads. We'll make sure we start taking care of those right away.
Absolutely.
Any further questions? Thank you. We can move on.
Okay, good evening. The only other item I wanted to mention was the update on 3127, which really no update, but it's going smooth. It's in DOTD's hands. I'm sorry, we got the comments back, and I'm fairly positive they're going to let us proceed into the NEPA process fairly soon. So we're on schedule.
How about budget?
Budget, no overruns to date. I mean, they're just, they have a not to exceed price, and they're going to do the NEPA and get it to right-of-way purchase, so,
I'm saying
We're looking
August
good.
2020 for right-of-way.
right.
Well-
And that's more, you know, it's dependent on the FHWA, it's dependent on DOTD comments, how quickly everybody gets back and forth with each other. So we're going to be,
Had one of the landowners talk to me today about that, and he's anxious for us to get that started.
okay. Well, I think part of the NEPA process is going to be outreach and all that kind of stuff, so.
Okay.
What does NEPA stand for again? I forget.
Money.
National Environmental Protection
Analysis, maybe?
Analysis, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
It's just something we have to do to get federal funds. If we don't do that, we don't get federal funds.
Right, it's part of the environmental process, yeah. It kind of takes in not just, you know, environment and wetlands and things like that. It's everything sensitive, economic. You know, you want to make sure you're not, you're putting an asset or a new public asset where it limits impact to everybody, you know. So,
Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, Mike, while I got you up there, it's not on the agenda, but you and I talked a little bit briefly about it this week, is Tiki DePlessis widening project. I thought I seen an email that it was gonna be on the agenda, but I guess I'm dreaming, I guess, maybe, but what I'm thinking is we spent, you know, $400 or $500, and we answered all the questions to the residents on Tiki DePlessis.
right,
We send them the state and, you know, data that was
right.
researched by the state. We haven't got any comments back from the residents. Since we spent about, I don't know, you said anywhere from 400 plus
Yeah, that,
already on design, I think we need to move forward. And I know you got some traffic calming package here for as speeding and stuff that you're gonna introduce later, but.
right, that's something we talked to the residents about in that meeting.
Yeah.
And we're looking at probably maybe having one more public meeting with them and saying, this is something we're going to add into the design. Try to design for some of the speeding in that area. I know that's a big concern they have, but it's a substandard road. It's unsafe as it is without speeders, so.
Okay, so where are we at with the project?
We're on hold right now until, you know, we've been busy getting these other projects out, but we can.
Do we
can-
need a motion by this committee to move forward with the design?
No, we don't. The next thing we'll do is, we would bring the ordinance, for, acquiring right-of-way, for, asking you all to approve purchasing right-of-way for that project.
Okay.
And then move into final design.
Okay.
And again, like I said, we want to make sure we meet with the stakeholders out there and make sure everybody kind of has a little, you know, their questions are answered
Mm-hmm.
about the design, so.
I'd like to see us put it on the agenda for next month.
we could-
All right.
Is that something we could add into the agenda now with unanimous vote?
Yeah, we kind of just placed it on hold, not, you know.
Because it's already been brought up, it's been deferred
sure.
several times.
I mean, I think if-
I'm ready to move myself on it.
Yeah,
you know.
but we'll take that under advisement and I'll consult with the designer and get them going again.
Okay.
So,
Do you want to add that tonight, though, as
Yes,
far as
sir.
the moving forward on the right-of-way? If you'd like to add that, we can,
Definitely
I
would.
think we'll take a roll call vote.
I'll second that motion.
okay, I was looking for our legal counsel here, but, it's.
If
we-
pending
we-
legal, we'll make this
Yeah.
motion, and then you can go through legal, and it's got to go to the full council anyway.
Yeah, it's got to be done by an ordinance.
Yeah.
To purchase right away, so,
Right. But we-
definitely, we'll get it going.
But I know that
Give
we've,
it to you.
we've got to the step
We're gonna send
before.
this to the full council, but in the meantime, you can talk to legal and make sure
Okay.
everything's fine.
So Donna, can we get a roll call vote to add an ordinance that would allow us to purchase right-of-way for the Tiki Duplessis project? To add that to the agenda. We'll add that to the agenda as item number 6A.
Yes.
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 Yes. So moved, so we'll add that to the agenda as item number 6A. Don't let me forget that. Okay, Mike, you can go on.
Okay, I was gonna roll into the Move Ascension program update, and I've got Jeff Burst here with me if I need to call on him for anything, and you guys have any specific questions. But we changed up the update a little bit. Thought it'd maybe flow a little better and really give you guys an idea of what all has been accomplished and where we're heading. So you see the program metrics, the program management consulting team, HNTB, CSRS, ELOS, GCR, and Franklin Associates. We have 11 design consultants, we're calling CDCs. Those are the designers we've used on the projects. We tasked out 24 projects. Not all are, you're going to see construction barrels. A couple of them are analyses and signalization efforts to help move traffic throughout the parish. For 20 of those 21 or so projects is around 338 parcels of right-of-way to acquire. Coordination of utilities, there's approximately 7 utilities and 4 pipeline companies that we're having to deal with on all these projects, or some of them with the pipelines. There's 19 projects that require core permits. The second bullet item you'll see is the program process flow. I know some of you may have these questions, so I wanted to just go through this with you real quick. First, what we do is, like anything, when you work on something, your house, road, anything, you do a feasibility, whether you call it a feasibility study, analysis. You determine what you need to do to that road or asset to spend money on it and make sure you're using the money the best way you can. From there, if it's worthy, we go into preliminary design and environmental. Then we go into, once design gets completed, or 95%, we go into right-of-way acquisition. Final design and bid documents. Then once it's let, if needed, we do a clearing and grubbing. Utility companies come in and move their utilities into the purchased right-of-way, and then we get into the full roadway construction. Now, this is how it happens with any kind of money, but it's a lot faster when we're using local money. Some of these processes, there's probably a few more steps with federal money. And it's not as, I didn't want to put that detailed process in here, but this is kind of the way we're going through it. Item number 3, these are all the projects that have advertised for construction bids here in the, since we've started. LA 930, we are under contract negotiations, hoping to have that inked in probably by the first, second week of January. St. Landry Ashland Connector, bid opening is tomorrow, and same thing, we're going to try to get that rush through contracting. Hopefully we get a low bidder and it's meets all the qualifications. Bill, I know you were wondering about the construction timeline on that. We etched it down to 120 days, so we're hopeful. But
Good.
yeah, I mean, we figured that was kind of a break even to being too expensive versus getting it done timely. So hope for good weather there. Roddy Road widening from 935 to 621. That's clearing and grubbing only. That's going to open tomorrow as well. LA 73 turn lanes at Henry, Brown, and Oakland, 3 separate projects. They all are going to advertise this Thursday. Once those get under contract, those are going to be 90-day contracts. And then the 7th one is the roundabout at 929 and 930. Clearing and grubbing, we're going to do that in-house. And part of the 930 clearing and grubbing, they'll do, I think we'll have one quadrant, we have to take a tree or 2 down. So we'll do that in-house, and then that project will be ready for the utilities to move as well. Then you see next up, Seabro, US 61 at Germany intersection improvements, Roddy Road intersection improvements at Norwood and Merritt Evans, Bro and Germany roundabout, 930 at Henry Road roundabout, and then the Roddy Road clearing and grubbing from US 61 to 935. So that's 13 projects that are going to be kicking off here within the next month or so, and it's going to be some fast-paced stuff. So any questions on any of that stuff?
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yeah, just appreciate the signage up for the Move Ascension. That's really letting everyone know what's going on. Also, just please be careful out there. There's a lot of utilities being
Yes.
relocated right now, and just looking at this one right here, Highway 73 at Oakland. Once that's complete, that's gonna really relieve a lot of traffic on Old Jefferson and, Brown Road for sure, so. Really appreciate putting the signs out there, to help
Yes, sir.
everyone know what's going on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike, first of all, Roddy Road, all the way from 61, US 60 all the way out, it's gonna be cleared and grubbing?
No, sir.
I know it was on the list for and now it's just that one section.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's a possibility we may be able to roll that into the contract if we get the right-of-way purchase during the same time frame. But I'm not sure
I
if
know
we can do
last
it
meeting,
legally.
I thought it was there for and grubbing shortly.
Well, we still have right-of-way purchase, so, we have to do that before we start clearing and grubbing.
Okay.
So there's a few parcels that we need to get, finished up with, on Weber City and along there, so. But the intent is to get it going. Nothing's holding us back. We're getting it going as quick as we can, and,
What about the turn lanes at Roddy and Church Point,
the roundabout,
roundabout?
still working on right-of-way there as well.
That's been on the books for.
So that one, it's been a while. The thing that's gonna hold Roddy, I say hold it up, the thing that's gonna take it the longest time is the utility relocation. I mean, you're looking at 1.5 miles, 2 miles, 3 bridges, a roundabout in the middle with federal funding on it. So it'll be interesting to figure this
As
out.
far as budget and money, you have the money there
Yes, sir.
for all of these projects?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Gonzales has a water line they have to move. I think they're trying to get a grant for. It's around $2 million is the quote they have. So just that water line. So.
Okay.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just look like we're adding a few projects and a few are getting held back, so that's what I was wondering.
The longer segments with purchasing right away is just time consuming and utility relocation, so. Item number 4, pre-construction.
I think we have one more question.
I'm sorry.
Councilman Dawson.
No, Mike, I'm just wondering what the schedule is on these turn lanes on 73. There are 3 of them that are going in. What's the completion date of those?
I have 90 days. Let's see, they're gonna advertise for.
90 days on?
3 weeks.
They run together? So,
Right. Yep, they're separate contracts, but, I mean, you may get a contractor, get all 3, I mean, may
that's
not.
the construction period is 90?
90 days, yes. I'm looking, if we're advertising something this Thursday, 3 weeks, you have holidays and, if you get, and then we bring it back to the committee and then get it approved by you all, then, well, I wouldn't say April, but, Sandra's been doing good in our contract department, so, maybe we can sweet talk her to get it done by, February, March, but that's if we get an approved low bidder, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to get everybody rushed through and get this stuff done. A lot of administrative work on these things, so. And they're doing a great job, so.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir. Pre-construction design services, 7 intersection analysis complete, 2 corridor signal timing and synchronization projects that are complete. 16 projects are at 95% final or greater stage. 4 projects are in preliminary plan stage. And that's, you can look at that in the CDC chart in the appendix. For right-of-way acquisitions, of the 338 parcels, we've acquired 142. 5 projects that have all the right-of-way acquired. Babin Road Bridge Replacement, which is an off-system bridge project paid for by federal funds. We had to purchase the right-of-way and move utilities, or pay for the utility relocation. That was our share. That's underway. St. Landry, Ashland Connector, that was the donation, and then the 3 turn lanes at 73. We'll have another 4 projects that'll have complete right-of-way purchase by the end of this year. All the remaining projects underway with right-of-way acquisition in various phases, and that's also in the appendix if you'd like to take a closer look. Utility relocations, I'll let you all read through those. Got a lot of stuff moving right now. Like I said, there's seven utility companies, I suppose, throughout the parish. You can imagine, we've kept them apprised since 2017 when we were in preliminary plan stage, but They take different levels of plan development before they'll move on certain projects. So they've got a lot of work to do, and we're just going to keep an open line of communication with those guys, and hopefully they can get us scheduled to meet our schedules. Environmental, 19 wetland delineations have been submitted to the Corps, and jurisdictional determinations have been received. 10 Corps permits are secured, 7 required mitigation, 7 no permit required letters from the Corps received, and then the last 2 are in progress and should be finishing up with the final design of those 2 projects.
Councilman
sir.
Dawson has a question.
Yes, sir.
Just to back up to the right-of-way acquisition, Mike,
Okay.
did you guys, you've got over a third, it looks like, close to a half of the right-of-way acquisitions to date. So has not having Quick Take, has that affected that tremendously, or have we used any of the state Quick Take ability?
We have, I'm not sure, I've seen one go through the process yet, but that's all pretty much been willing participants.
Okay.
I think we probably, yeah, maybe 5 or 6.
And 10 appropriations have been filed thus far.
Yeah. Some of
Okay.
those, I mean, we had one gentleman lives in California, 14 or so heirs, family, you know, the guy's 90-something years old. I mean, it's
So
splintered
if they're not
everywhere.
willing, how long, what does that add to the schedule?
Do we have a schedule on the Quick Take, or,
Typically, it's
come on up?
the parish attorney, Mr. Parrington, hires that out to a man, Larry Buquet, and he files the expropriations in the court on behalf of the parish. And typically, we're seeing about a 30 to 60-day turnaround on that.
Okay, so it adds just 1 to 2 months to the schedule?
And typically, we're seeing this on some of these corridors where we're acquiring, 60-plus parcels. So it's not really adding to the overall duration of acquisition for the project. If it was on one of these turn lane jobs, then certainly it would have done so.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. The other thing we're doing is kind of trying to run a parallel path where we can. So if we know it's going to take a month or so, we'll maybe start putting the bid documents together for clearing and grubbing and kind of, run parallel
Well,
path.
I
and
thought
get it
we
done.
had hired somebody to do right-of-way acquisition.
Yes, sir. That's-
did.
We have a-
O'Neill's they're just filing
They do the
Right.
negotiations and the
Okay.
initial
Right.
work.
Yeah.
But we have a contractor actually doing the field work, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, we have 2.
Two contractors?
Yeah, it's a lot of knocking on doors and research, and it's a lot
Okay.
of work. Okay. You can read the long move ascension activities. Again, everything I spoke of, right-of-way acquisition, everything's ongoing. Utility relocation. Again, I can't stress that enough. I'd like to say I know, we know everything there is to know about it, but that's really, it's hard to pin down a good schedule on these projects without knowing what a lot of these companies are able to do with moving these utilities. So we're going to stay on them, and you'll see all the other stuff that we're updating and looking into during this program. The next few sheets are just kind of some graphics that we put together for your viewing. If you have any questions on those, I'll be happy to answer. And that's pretty much it for the update. We've been working our purchasing department pretty hard, and our finance department pretty hard, and also our legal department. So I want to thank them for helping out. This is a tremendous amount of extra workload that we've put on them, and they've been handling it great, so.
One quick question.
Yes,
I
sir.
know it's in our budget, but I don't remember what it is. What is the budget, the balance on the Move Ascension projects? How much have we spent to date,
Okay.
if you know that off the top of your head, which,
I do. From the
I know.
CDCs, we've spent, we have contracts written up to 9.16 million roughly, and we have about, of that, we spent 7.4.
So how much, what's the
Nine-
balance? What's the
one,
balance in the account?
in the balance in the account's around $700,000, 750,000.
For
We
this
must
year.
have some more money somewhere. I'm talking
No,
about
that's for the design consultants.
but
You mean
that's not the-
overall?
That's not the overall.
No, that's not the
No.
overall budget.
Thank you. We don't know what the overall balance is, what the balance is overall.
For the Move Ascension Fund,
Yeah.
I don't have that with me, I apologize.
I
In
remember- I thought
the
it was
unitary
off the top of my head.
plan, Bill, which is gonna be an item we have coming up, I've put in 3 years allocations, 2020, 21, and 22. So we can take a look at that, and you can see
Helpful.
kind of what's yearly projected. That unitary plan, you have to put in everything you're spending on your road projects and road maintenance department for the state. So,
In the budget,
is that the question you had?
at the end of 2019.
What's the
Was
balance?
that
Yeah.
the question you had with CDCs?
Yes.
Consultants.
64 million.
That's the total overall what we're gonna spend on it. Remember, each year we take in some,
Oh, that's true.
yeah.
But, Mr. Chairman, so what we have with right-of-way acquisition and contract design consultants, that is the 1.7
Okay.
and 1.6?
So just the contract design consultants, they do everything except for the right-of-way acquisition, okay? They get right-of-way maps completed, and then our right-of-way acquisition team is under our program management consultant, which is H&TB. And so in that budget, we budgeted, I think originally 2.4 million. I'm sorry, 3.5 million for right-of-way. And we've got 2.2 million balance left to purchase the rest of the right-of-way.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we're starting to get a good understanding of exactly what we're spending on each property, the soft cost and the hard cost. And,
So
we-
just gauging it from getting you halfway on some of this stuff, so we looking pretty decent.
Right, I think we are. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Anlo, do you have anything more to add for the Move
I
Ascension project?
I do not. Well, one thing, the Babin Road Bridge replacement, again, that's a project I've been getting a lot of calls on. The road's shut down, so I think it's causing a lot of heartburn for the constituents, and tried to field them as best I can, but the update from DOTD is mid-January for the completion of that, so try to keep you updated as best we can. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 7.
6A.
6A. Told you I'd forget. It's an ordinance to allow the purchase of right-of-way for the Tiki Duplessis project.
So move,
I
Mr.
make
Chairman.
a second.
We have a motion and a second. Any objection, any discussion? None, so moved. Moving on to item number 7, resolution authorizing the Infrastructure Division Director of the Transportation Engineering Department to install traffic calming devices so as to discourage speeding and cut through traffic in residential neighborhoods. Mr. Anelo.
Okay, so we have with this, it's also going to be the next item, a proposed ordinance as appropriate for the resolution. And we have a short presentation from Mr. Brian Harmon with Sigma Engineering Consultants, who put this plan together. And if that's okay, I'd like to bring him up here now and go through that. You guys have handouts?
Please do, yes.
So,
Sit, we're not finished. I just had to.
Join us.
Have much fun.
Committee meeting members, here to give you just a quick overview of the traffic calming manual. I think Michael had passed some out to you, so this is really just a quick summary of what's in it to help you expedite some of your reading. The basic purpose of the traffic calming manual is to provide Ascension Parish residents, community leaders, and officials with guidance and standardized administrative procedures. It must provide a defined process, an opportunity for public participation, and proven solutions. Traffic calming can be defined as a combination of mainly physical measures, including changes in street alignments and configurations, installation of barriers and other measures to reduce speed or cut through volumes, and alter driver behavior. As public servants, I'm sure you have all heard all of these. You get calls along the lines of, my street is dangerous, my kids can't play in the front yard, it's unsafe for me to pick up my mail, I can't safely back out of my driveway, on and on. Demands are made, what are you gonna do about this? The parish must come out and do something. In response, the parish in most cases will investigate the complaint. Traffic issues are typically either life safety or quality of life issues. It is the obligation of the parish to address life safety issues, such as unusual high crash locations which may have improper signing, sight distance obstructions, or geometric issues. Quality of life, though, is more of a choice based on desires and expectations with no parish obligation. While traffic calming measures can be utilized to address life safety, they typically are classified as quality of life. Traffic calming involves trade-offs. It's finding a balance between the need to provide an efficient transportation network and maintaining a livable and safe environment for bicyclists, pedestrians, and other street or street-adjacent users. Residents may want slower vehicle speeds. However, area mobility desires can be at odds with that goal. A traffic calming measure seen as necessary by some may be seen as a nuisance by others. Traffic calming devices should not be confused with traffic control devices. Traffic control devices are signs, signals, pavement markings, and other devices placed along the roadways to guide and regulate actions of motorists. Traffic calming devices are typically self-enforcing measures designed to make drivers slow down. Self-enforcing measures such as speed tables and traffic circles have the ability to slow and/or direct motor vehicles in the absence of enforcement. Self-enforcing traffic and calming measures are grouped within 4 categories. You have horizontal and vertical deflections, street width reductions, and routing restrictions. The following is a typical horizontal deflection. These include realigned intersections, traffic circles, lateral shifts, chicanes, and roundabouts. These hinder the ability of a motorist to drive in a straight line by creating a horizontal shift in the roadway, i.e., you're slowing down for curves. You have vertical deflections. Many of you are familiar with this. They include speed tables, raised crosswalks, speed humps, and raised intersections. These create a change in the height of the roadway that forces a motorist to slow down. You got to slow down to go over something. You have typical street width reductions. These include chokers, median islands, corner extensions, on-street parking, and road diets. These squeeze the roadway width, causing the driver to slow down. And then lastly, you have the typical routing restrictions, which includes median barriers, forced turn islands, diagonal diverters, full closures, half closures. These present or forced turning movements at intersections, restricting turns that drivers would normally make and will reduce cut-through traffic. This is kind of a quick overview of the whole process. You have development of policies and procedures. You adopt the process. You initiate a pilot project to validate the process and establish funding and fine-tune the process to meet parish needs. That's kind of what we're trying to do right now. So the traffic calming program is something that must be built, tested, and fine-tuned. It must have a clear and concise process that applies mostly for 35-mile or less roadways. And the funding of the program can be a struggle for both private participants and the parish government. The project initiation or implementation project includes project initiation, project identification, and preliminary plan development, and plan refinement, and finally plan ranking and funding considerations. The traffic calming process does contain multiple steps and requires collaboration between local residents and the parish. There's a flow chart in the attachments that was given that kind of gives what that process is in the handout and in the manual. in getting into a little more detail, project initiation. Projects can be initiated using the standard request form that's contained in the manual and the handouts. A homeowner association with board action can make a request. Individuals, including a traffic calming study petition, is required from 10 signatures of individual households along the route, can also make a request. The request must clearly identify problem locations and limits and identify specific concerns. In response to that, the parish will perform initial screening to determine if the request meets the minimum warrants, which are defined in section 6, pages 33 and 34 of the manual, for it to proceed on. The problem identification and preliminary plan development includes data collection analysis and limits of impact area. An informational kickoff meeting will be used to discuss the proposed project with the neighborhood, and the neighborhood will establish a working group. The parish must consider the area that could potentially be affected by the implementation of these measures and how traffic may be diverted. Doing measures on one street may move traffic to another street. The findings from this evaluation from the data collection will set the impact area that will later be petitioned for potential traffic calming plan acceptance. So initially, you're working with the request or the people who are requesting the study, but later you must deal with the entire impact area. Once the parish and a working group develop an acceptable plan, a second meeting will be held. This will be the larger open house meeting that includes invites to the entire impact area. At this meeting, the parish will present the plan, any potential options, and discuss the likelihood of success. Different measures have different success rates. At the time of the survey, the residents of the impacted area will be conducted, and a minimum of 3% of those surveyed must support moving forward for the process to continue. Again, there's always conflict between people want it and people don't want it. So we need at least 33% of those saying, yeah, we'd like it to move on to the next step. You got a plan refinement. The plan will be finalized considering comments received from the open house. The parish will develop an estimate of probable cost. And then the applicants must initiate the final plan acceptance petition of the impact area. This petition provides the residents of the affected neighborhood the opportunity to approve the details of the recommended plan. For the plan approval, a minimum of 50% of all petitions of the households and businesses within the designated impact area must be returned, with at least 67% of those providing positive support. Lastly, you go through a plan ranking and the funding consideration. Projects are ranked based on one being approved to move forward to that step, and then it's based on a scoring process that's set up in section 8, page 36 of the manual. And lastly, project funding. The council, y'all and the parish president, will have to decide how best to fund these projects at this point. We've listed on the slide and in the manual several opportunities that may exist. Some of these are state, some of these are federal. But in the end, the lack of dedicated funding stream will have an impact on the parish's ability to initiate a traffic calming program. And it's always nice if some seed money could be considered to assist in getting the program up and running, and potentially also provide match monies for some of the state and federal monies that may be out there. So that was just a real quick, let me read it to you, presentation, but it's a fairly large document there you're looking at, and hopefully it gives you a little more background into what's trying to be addressed here. We also, as part of the manual, it was to also address parish routes. Most of those parish routes have speed limits that exceed 35 miles an hour. So most of those are really more speed and safety control issues. And we do have some appendices and documents in there of recommendations for that. And the manual was structured based on primary guidance from Federal Highways and ITE with a utilization of other documents that we've been able to review and experience that's been had locally. So with that, any questions?
Mr. Hartman, first let me say thank you for your hard work on this. I know we've met on this a couple times. Mr. Enlow also. We've met on this multiple times, trying to put together this huge manual. So I am going to open it up for questions. First of all, Councilman Lambert. Todd
Yeah,
Lambert.
this might go to staff and parish president. Funding for a project, each project, I know we need seed money to get this started, but we don't know how is that going to escalate. We have a lot of everybody up here has a lot of calls for is speeding in, neighborhoods and stuff. So this could be pretty broad, when we approve it, it could be big, it could be huge, it could be costly. And I'm wondering how much, are we planning on funding this?
Well,
How much you got in the budget plan on next year? Or if we move on it now, you got money in the budget that's got to be amended?
we were looking at putting some seed money in, small amount for next year, but I guess, I understand your question, and I think it's a good one to touch on. This isn't just to try to create something else for us to do. It's really a process and a procedure to vet out maybe some things that really aren't valid with some of the complaints, so it's not as big of an undertaking as you may think with funding and budgeting these things. Ultimately, we'd like to see some of the neighborhoods partake in some of these, and the solutions, I suppose. Some of them may not be as big as a stop sign or this or that, or, striping may help. So this is a document that's going to help us get to that point with the help of the stakeholders, the public. And Brian has told me a few times that some of these meetings they have on these issues are some of the best meetings you can attend as a public official. And they get pretty interesting quick. But the simple things like, I think Councilman Lambert, we were discussing in the Keystone subdivision, maybe it'll fit one of the criteria in this plan. But so anyway, that's what we're looking at. We're also, what Brian didn't mention, but wanted to make sure you all understood, it's going to be done if you want it in a separate ordinance. But I'm going to have to meet with the planning department to talk with Jerome and see if there's something we can put into the UDC to see if we can get the developers of these neighborhoods to not just design for best management practices, but to design with these things in mind, so we don't have to come back 5 years later or 2 years later when somebody says there's people speeding in my neighborhood and whatnot. So that's the goal.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that's, no, but that was a good question, because that's one of the things that, I think all of us up here and everybody on the council has got numerous phone calls about speeding in neighborhoods and what can be done about it. And our sheriff's department does a good job of getting out there, doing everything they can, but they can't be out there all the time. This is a way to help, let the our customers, our constituents know that we hear that problem and we're going to try and find a way to fix it. Once again, we're not going to be able to fix every single one of these. What I know I like about this process is it's a tiered process almost, that you have to have constant buy-in from the community, and if the community doesn't buy into it and it's just one or two people that are complaining about it, it probably doesn't get done. What we're looking for is community buy-in, and this is the process for us to get that community buy-in. We're not really sure how many projects we're actually going to get enough community buy-in to then move on and actually do the process. We may find that there's a huge need for this and we'll have to budget accordingly. We might, and based on what we do have, we may also find that there's less of a need than we think there is. But this is the first step, and like Mr. Enlow had said, part of this is the first step. We also want to see if we can build this into any new development that comes along, both commercial and residential, that this gets built into the process. So we're not dealing with this in the future. It's part of how we do things here in Ascension Parish. We slow down traffic and do it the right way. Councilman Dawson, you have a question?
Are we going to take up this resolution
I'll make that
tonight?
Yes, we have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Well, I'll second it, but
We have
I
a second
have-
for discussion purposes.
Yeah, can I ask? Because number one, it's very broad as far as I'm concerned, which if you look in Resolve Section 1, it says the Infrastructure Division Director of Transportation Engineering is hereby authorized and encouraged to install traffic calming devices on Ascension Parish streets. So, is that the Infrastructure Director can just pick out which ones he wants to install that on? Is that the way I read that? That's all the language that's in here. And then it says, to authorize the appropriation of a nominal sum of money. It doesn't say how much the nominal is, but additionally, to appropriate any money requires an ordinance.
Yeah, and that would have to be the council doing that. This is simply a resolution moving forward on that, and maybe
Well,
we
then
could,
maybe it's, it's not it should say to prepare the ordinance to, I'm not too sure, but maybe this whole thing shouldn't be an ordinance.
Not even a resolution.
Yeah. I mean, you
The
can't
resolution-
establish funds without an ordinance.
Right. The resolution cites a change in the UDC, I believe, and that's going to be in the next item, proposed ordinance to get introduced on Thursday if approved,
So why do we have this resolution? I don't.
to adopt the manual.
And that,
Which is not what it says. I mean, what it says, you got these two things that we're resolving to do here. Well, one is to adopt the manual, and then also that's to authorize the infrastructure director to install traffic calming devices, and then two, to authorize the appropriation.
should it be reworded to specifically state, I guess section 3 would be to adopt the manual? Because it,
Well, I mean, if all we're gonna do is adopt the manual, then that's all this should say, is adopt the manual, and then you've gotta have an ordinance to do the rest of this, I think. And the second part of it could say, the resolution could encourage us to adopt an ordinance, I don't know, but
I'll go ahead and rescind my motion and let legal look at this to make sure it's correct.
well, additionally, I mean, I'll say this, that, what is this? I don't know how many pages it is, but it's a bunch.
It's a lot.
And, you know, I'm gonna be quite honest with you, I didn't read them all. I didn't read any of it. We just got it. I don't know whether, you know, maybe there is some more time that should be allotted here. And, you know, I'm gonna be honest about it. You know, maybe it
We got
needs to
time.
be something for the people that are gonna sit in these chairs the next 4 years.
well, there's no rush to do this.
Have legal look and see how we need to change the resolution to be in compliance. So if we need a motion for that, I'll move that we defer this until legal can look at it and see how we need to make sure if we need to institute an ordinance, adopt an ordinance, or whether, you know, how this resolution should be.
Substitute motion or whatever.
All right.
Okay,
Well, I
we have a
rescinded the
second.
first one.
Any further discussion?
And look, Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
I
Lamb?
don't have a problem with it, but it looks like we've already started some of this with, the striping and stuff. I mean, it's really helped on Duval Road and, I know you, some on Diggity Plaza.
Right, right.
So, I mean, we're moving in the right direction, and everything that's added here, I can see some good things coming out of it down the
I
road.
mean,
So,
Yeah, we
I'm
wanna-
all
you-
for it.
We want to get
yeah.
it right.
Yeah.
We want to get it right, so.
yeah, I have no problem with it. It's just, we moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bill,
That's
you-
good.
You got to make sure you read through the whole manual. Next week, I'll call you on it. No, it's a very good read. There's a lot of examples and stuff like that in there. But again, glad you brought that up. It's starting a process so we can,
Sure,
instead of you guys fielding calls and getting us to go look at this and that and this and that, it takes a lot of time and effort. We want to make sure we spend our time wisely and money, so.
Okay.
So we'll get this looked at, revised, and maybe bring it back to you guys in December.
Sure.
Do we have any objections? No? So moved, very good. Moving on,
19 maybe follows that same path.
was that, yeah, I think that'd be number 8.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, number 8. So moving on to item number 8, proposed ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 19, Roads and Bridges and Other Public Ways, Article 1 in general, Section 19-1, Adoption of Road System Manual.
I move that we defer that to attach it to
Second.
item 7.
We have a motion and a second. Any objections? No, so moved. Item number 9, amendment to number 7 of the master contract for general engineering consultant services, transportation master plan development and implementation between HNTB and Ascension Parish Government to renew the existing contract for an additional year beginning on December 20th, 2019 through December 20th, 2020, with a budgeted amount of $1,575,119 for the term of this contract.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Do we have any questions, any objections? None, so
So,
moved.
can we just ask, a little more explanation on this?
Yes.
This is, is it to do the, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at, but, general engineering, or is this for a specific,
It's
task? What is it?
It's,
What is it?
it's both. It's under the general engineering consultant agreement we have, but it's for task order number 2, which is the program management consulting. So for them to continue throughout the next year, providing the services they've been providing under the program.
But we don't have that. It's not in the, or maybe it's in the back here, but do we say task 2 somewhere?
It's,
I don't see it in the title.
let me see.
It says supplement number 2, task order 2.
That's in the attachment somewhere?
Yeah, on the amendment, the page behind the amendment is the actual proposal.
Oh, so this is it, yeah, okay, here's that.
Supplement number 1
Right.
was last year at this time.
Well, somebody help me, I still don't see task order
It's
One more page.
one more,
2.
look,
So, supplement. Okay.
Any further discussion? None, so moved. Moving on to item number 10, budget amendment for $1 million for road construction for additional task orders under the Move Ascension program. Mr. Enlow.
Yeah, so the CDCs, the one, we have 11 CDCs, and they've operated under, I think it's a $10 million contract retainer, if you will, and we want to add $1 million to this to continue with some of the Move Ascension services and additional projects if identified.
Well, I'll
Those-
make
those
that
are-
motion, yeah.
We have a motion.
Did Todd make it? I'll second it.
I second his. and
Okay, we have a motion by
discussion.
Councilman Dawson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert, and now discussion.
Yep.
Councilman Lambert.
Mike, where is this coming out of what budget, this $1 million?
This is going to be from the Move Ascension budget. So
Okay.
basically, we're putting into the Move Ascension program is intended to be a 1 or 2 year. We want to continue this until we get a lot
So
of
it's
our
funded,
problems
funded,
fixed.
funded by what?
Road construction primarily.
Okay,
Yeah,
road
The road construction fund, and we move it a little bit into Move Ascension every year. We don't have much to play with, but a little bit we can move into there, so. And then obviously, any other additional projects have to come before you all to get approved anyway, so. But we have some ideas and some, working with the state, some big, long-term things that they're discussing. We want to make sure we're prepared to be able to enhance some of the corridors.
One more thing. Just a recommendation.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of new projects added to Move Ascension with a lot of projects still outstanding and not complete. Have to be careful with this and get these
sir.
jobs completed before adding and adding and adding,
Yes, sir.
because you're gonna run out of money. You just said it, you don't have a lot of funding, we have some money up front that we've accumulated,
Right.
but every year, you don't have a lot adding to the bucket list, and
Yes, sir.
be careful, and I think you keep adding new projects all the time, and the outstanding projects are not, close to finish. I know when we started this Move Ascension, it was like, well, all right, we're gonna move Ascension, we're gonna put cones in the road in 6 months. And I tell you how that wasn't gonna happen. It's 2 years later, we're still trying to get right-of-ways. It don't happen overnight, and it takes a lot of money. And we keep adding and adding and adding. Just be careful. And the new administration coming on needs to pay attention to that, because you're gonna run out before you finish projects.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
y'all
Mr.
realize we added that new road from St. Landry to, we don't get no free roads, okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Councilman Dawson.
Is that 2019 or 2020 budget?
For 2020. It's renewing the contract till December 20th of 2020.
No, this.
I'm sorry.
This is a budget
I'm
amendment.
sorry.
Yeah.
They're under the same time frame. It's a 3-year with a.
But the
renewal.
budget amendment is to the 2020 budget?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Any further questions? None, so moved. Item number 11, resolution for temporary speed limit reduction for LA 930 until construction is completed.
Okay, yes, this road is currently posted at 45 miles an hour, and I know,
We
Some
have
of
a
you
motion
said-
by Councilman Lambert, a second by Councilman Dawson. Any discussion? No, any questions? So moved. And just to be clear, that has been a state highway. Now that we have it, we're reducing that speed limit because it probably should have never been 45 in the condition that road was in before.
right, the new design is designed for design speed of 45 miles an hour. We can post it under that in the future. So,
Yeah.
but this is for temporary, for construction.
Yeah, slow them down now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Item number 12, resolution 2020 unitary plan to establish a capital improvements program for 2020, 2021, and 2022 as required by the state of Louisiana.
That's just business. So move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Any discussion?
I thought we were gonna have how much we had left. This is about $57 million here. So how much do we have in the kitty?
Right now, with CRPC funds and those grant projects, we're looking at around 67, I believe.
67 that we have left in the kitty?
Right. But no, the difference, you said 53 and 67, so what is that, 14?
No, there's 57 million, about $57 million in these 3 years of budget.
Right. So total program, the total funding we've identified and budgeted is 67 million for the Move Ascension program with these projects.
But we don't know how much our balance is.
No, not at this time, no. I mean, I can give you from the tab. We spent we've
Well-
spent about $15 million between design and program management and master plan services.
From 64?
Right, yes, yes, sir,
So we have 50 left?
yes, sir.
So we're 7 over what we have?
Well, again, this is projected out for the plan, for the unitary plan. And like I said, we're adding, a small amount from the
Well, I think it
road
goes back
construction
to
budget.
what Todd was saying is that, I don't know, we forecast spending more than we have. And it looks like we only get, to transfer $1 million a year, that's probably, we can't do much better than that out of the.
Right,
Out of the sales tax. So you add $2 million, $2 or $3 million, that still doesn't get you enough to do these projects.
Looking at
I don't know. Am I
our budget
missing
and our
something here?
projects,
we
we've
do
got
this.
we've got it budgeted out.
This is just a state requirement to project this unitary budget, and within there, the third
Yeah.
paragraph is, it's simply a state requirement that we then have the power to amend, delete, or add anything to this, just to comply with the laws of the state of Louisiana.
Well, I think it would be good, though, we have a physically sound 3-year package. If we have a 3-year plan, it should be physically sound.
Well, you've got a lot of stuff in here that we've kept in the budget, LA 42 improvements. That's $1 million for sewer line that's gonna come back on the books soon. We're keeping it on there for now. But I
That was
can,
just my comment, so,
yes, sir, thank you.
somebody else can wrestle with that, but.
All the projects we've tasked out and we're in design and right away we've accounted for and budgeted for. And we're looking okay on the Move Ascension budget for those projects.
Okay.
Any further questions? Any objections? None, so moved. Item number 13,
So move.
Second.
second.
Thank you.
Adjourned.